There's another pandemic impacting our world that we don't hear as much about, and it is the costliest pandemic ever known. There are 57 million people currently living with Alzheimer's and dementia around the world at the cost of $1.3 trillion a year. Sarah Hoit is the Chief Social Impact Officer for BioVie Inc., and she is here to explain how BioVie is fighting back against this health crisis. Great to have you with us, Sarah.
Thank you so much for focusing on this topic and having me.
Kind of give us an overview of what BioVie is all about.
So BioVie is a biotech company that is really focused on the solution for Alzheimer's and dementia. We've gone about it very differently. We're focused on the inflammation. We really believe that inflammation is at the heart of this disease. And you know, just to back up a little bit, the scale, as you said, of Alzheimer's is catastrophic. And not only those 57 million that you mentioned, but the numbers are escalating at really doubling every 20 years. So we, by 2040, will have over 100 million people affected.
It's impacted so many of us. I know it's impacted my family, and it has a very personal impact to you, which I think is important for people to understand. Tell us about your family.
Well, as you just said, you can't mention this disease without somebody having a personal connection. Sadly, in our family, I just lost my husband 6 months ago to early onset. I have a 20-year-old and a 21-year-old, Samantha and Wesley, who have been on this journey with me for a decade. You know, when you get Alzheimer's, it doesn't just appear. You've had it for a very long time. And so we had a 10-year, very long goodbye and battle. And all the things that, you know, you think of your viewers and people watching today, this is a really, it's really prevalent, it's really personal, and there's not a lot of support for the caregivers and families. And there's not enough research, there's not enough money, there's not enough awareness. And so my complete delight to be able to be part of a solution right now, and the things that we can talk about for others to be part of a solution. You know, we've had about 100 years where nothing has happened in the research, right? This is the only major killer with no known cure.
So BioVie is trying to change that.
BioVie is trying to change that.
What are they talking about that all of us can get a takeaway from?
So much of the science to date, and again, this is a hopeful moment. I want to express hope. I want to also express that we all need to be more vocal in terms of our participation, being willing to be part of the science. So signing up for clinical trials, we need more funding, we need more awareness, we need a lot of things. But this is a hopeful moment. Most companies have gone after, for people who know the science of Alzheimer's, the plaques and tangles, the beta amyloid. And we're attacking it a little differently. We believe that inflammation, neuroinflammation, is at the heart of the disease.
And is neuroinflammation something we can do something about?
Well,
because that's what we would all like, is to try to be preventative.
Yes, well, there's two pieces to that. So just in finishing the BioVie piece, listen, this is early days. And all we can do, and I think I do every night, you know, is to be hopeful and pray that we have a significant piece of this solution. But where we are in the excitement of this moment is we have finished stage 2 trials. And it appears that our molecule NE3107 is actually a neuro anti-inflammatory.
Okay.
And that the results of that, it appears in our stage 2, is when you reduce neuroinflammation, you can improve cognition, and you can improve motor skills for people with Parkinson's, and you can improve memory.
So this would be once that something was diagnosed or that we knew there was a decline?
And our studies have been with mild to moderate, so we've had people on quite a spectrum. So it's very, very exciting, because if you can make the cells healthier, right? If you can reduce, and listen, this is just basic for people who are not scientists, and believe me, I've read every book, and I've been living this even before my personal journey. I also ran a company, a technology company prior to this, that worked with thousands of families and seniors, connecting them, trying to impact the isolation that happens with aging, and 80% of the people I worked with had Alzheimer's. So I worked with thousands of caregivers. And you know, that ability to figure out, is there something that I can do? And what is the science? And I think just the notion that inflammation is bad, right?
Well,
and if we
yes.
can reduce it and we can
Right.
keep our cells healthier, our hope is that we can reverse the situation, and
it
that we
makes
can improve
sense.
cognition.
It makes so much sense because we're hearing that inflammation is bad in terms of our heart, in terms of so many other things. So it certainly makes sense that it ties then into our brain.
It does.
Before we go, I would love you to explain to everyone what you would like them to do to help companies like BioVie push these new developments forward.
Well, two pieces to the question. So you also asked, right, are there things we can do? Yes, there's lots of things we can do. One, people have to be involved. We need the science. We need people to be part of trials and part of the solution. So right now, what's exciting, we have just finished filling our stage 3 trial for Alzheimer's, and we will have more data to prove out what we already think we saw in stage 2 by the end of the year. So that's very, very exciting. There are other clinical trials, and people, if they're interested, you can certainly look on BioVie Pharma to see what trials we have coming up, but also to participate in others, because that's a really, really important piece of not only solving it for today, but for future generations.
And there's so many people that are so deeply impacted by this, so it's a great time to get involved. For more information, you can find out everything that's going on with BioVie by going to biovipharma.com. We'll be right back.